Welcome, guys, in another podcast. This time we're gonna have something cool for all the fans of Quake Live and Diabotical. Because today Baksteen gonna join me. Yo, what's up, Baksteen?
Hey man, thank you for having me.
I haven't seen you for a while. I think last time I've seen you was Adroids in 2011, 12, or something like that.
2012 it was, yeah.
That's a long
Yeah, it's
time.
because you probably haven't been around Diabotical. I haven't seen you there.
No, no, not even Quake Live lately. So, how you been all the time? Like, what you been up to? Did you? Well, so many things changed. It's like 11 years. I don't even know how to start it. Like, what do you do like in your life at the moment? Are you working? Or what is your like
Yeah man.
profession? What are you doing at the moment?
At the moment I got my own company.
Mm-hmm.
I'm selling various stuff online, mostly musical instruments.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the rest of my time I'm just gaming, playing instruments,
Mm-hmm.
doing all this kind of stuff.
Nice.
And yeah, Android's back in 2012. It's freaking more than 10 years ago. I can't believe that.
Yeah. Anyway, our main subject, as I told you before, is like I just want to speak with you about all the Quake games. So about Quake Live, Quake 3, like even Quake 4 a bit. But at the moment, like let's say Quake Live, Quake Champions, and Diabotical, those are all are the games from the same family basically. They are very similar. And I feel like they kind of split the scene at the moment. So you got like a lot of fans. I read in the feedback, I read in the comments. You got still a lot of people who play only Quake Live, for example, or Diabotical, and they are not even daring to touch like Quake Champions. If you read its reality, like all the stubborn guys or the like hardcore fans of Quake Live stayed there basically, and they are not even touching Quake Champions. So my first question is like, what do you think? Why so many people didn't want to like switch to Quake Champions and they kind of stayed only in Quake Live or then switch to Diabotical later on?
Hmm. And are you talking now about players who used to be like top level in Quake
Not
Live
really,
or
like
just in
everyone,
general?
every just in general, like
Okay.
everyone, like every average like player.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons is that when Quake Champions came out, it was obviously very unoptimized and
Hmm.
it was very modern compared to Quake Live. Of course, you could run on any machine pretty much, 250 FPS, no problem. Game came out in beta, lots of people tried it, but yeah, you just couldn't get a good performance on many PCs. I think that turned a lot of people off. I remember trying it in beta. I could get decent performance, but I remember being a bit disappointed because it didn't feel quite as responsive as Quake Live. And with the
Hmm.
whole champion stuff, it was so unusual. And I
Hmm.
think it turned a lot of people on. They just wanted more of the same, like another Quake Live with better graphics.
Hmm.
Um, Recently, I've been trying a little bit of Quake Champions again, and I
Hmm.
must say it's really not as bad as a lot of people say.
Hmm.
But I think a lot of people just had like a bad first impression when the game came out, like 2017, something like that.
Hmm. And
And yeah, I think that's the main reason.
hmm I'm just thinking because like I remember you started to play Quick Champions a little bit in the beginning, and then you kind of switch back to Quake Live and you continue to play Quake Live, right? And then you eventually switch to like Diabotical. What is very interesting for me is that you are very successful like in both Quake Live and Diabotical because like I've seen like many tournaments and like there was like this league going on in Diabotical at some point, right? And you are like kind of regularly like winning or getting top places like did you ever thought that when you won like so many things or you were successful, right? Like, did you ever thought about like, okay, now it's time to switch like to Quake Champions and try to like be the best there? Or maybe like as we said like before, like as you mentioned, you got your own company, you kind of grow up, so you didn't really feel like you need to compete for money only, and you can compete just for fun, and that's why you decided to like stay in.
It has definitely crossed my mind, like in
Mhm.
2021, halfway through, or like start of 2022, I would say.
Mhm.
I became the best player in Diabolical. At
Mhm.
first, it was tied with Agent for a while, but eventually,
Mhm.
I feel like I overtook him.
Mhm.
And yeah, I definitely felt like there was a lack of challenge there, and I thought about switching to Quake Champions for a while, but I've always realized that that's where the big players are, and
Mhm.
you just cannot expect the same level of competition um, in Quake Champions. I knew it was going to get much tougher if I wanted to be, a serious competitive player.
Mhm.
And like you mentioned, with the business, like Diabotical was kind of perfect for me. The money
Mhm.
was not that big that
Mhm.
you had to play 8 hours per day to win the tournaments,
Mhm.
but nobody approached it like that. But with the amount of time that I was able to put into it,
Mhm.
I could kind of satisfy my competitive spirit.
Mhm.
So for a long while, that was perfect game for me, like because of I could be competitive
Mhm.
without having to sacrifice a lot of time.
Okay, and at the moment, like we are approaching 2023, and there is any plans for the Diabotical, or what is going on there, like in case of the esports, like plans. There is some like league gonna go, like there's some tournaments already announced. How does it look like at the moment?
At the moment, they are saying the developers who have
Mhm.
sponsored, who came up with the money for the big tournaments the last 2 years, they are saying that it's on a break, basically,
Mhm.
the esports scene.
Mhm.
But most of us have a feeling that it's not going to come back
Mhm.
because the viewer numbers and the player numbers have been at an all-time low and have
Mhm.
been low throughout all of 2022.
Mhm.
And already, if you look back at 2022, it did not make much sense to me, like the amount of money they threw at the players, the top players.
Mhm.
If you compared it with, you know, how many players actually played the game and watched the streams,
Mhm.
I just couldn't believe it was lucrative for them in any way.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm afraid that's gonna be it for competitive Diabolical. But I thought that at the end of 2021, and then we got a pretty good year of
Mhm.
esports the next year. So who knows?
Mhm. So basically, that's the reason why you are like slowly coming back to Quake Champions at the moment to have like some backup game where you can not necessarily maybe straight away compete, but like just like play from time to time and have like good players to practice against or.
Exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. It's like in Diabolical, it's top players have been leaving slowly one by one already
Mhm.
for a while. And after a while, it gets boring playing against the same old guys, same maps
Mhm.
all the time. So I thought like, all right, now there's no more money to be made here.
Mhm.
There's no more players to play against. It might be a nice challenge to pick up Quake Champions slowly, see how it goes, see if
Mhm.
I enjoy the game. And I'm not expecting to go pro here, but
Mhm.
this is nice in the meantime until maybe the next big arena game comes out.
Yeah.
Just to keep my skills kind of fresh in the meantime.
So how do you like Quake Champions at the moment? Did you play a lot lately? Like how many weeks ago or months ago or days ago did you start to like play
Mm,
again?
mm, I would say I started playing like 3 weeks ago. I
Mhm.
used to play Quake Champions when it came out. I played for like half a year, maybe a year.
Mhm.
I had some good results. I remember I was beating in tournament. I had some good victories. Like I
Mhm.
even beat Kilson once,
Mhm.
Sparty, Agent. But
Mhm.
at the same time, I was really inconsistent. Like I was also losing to
Mhm.
players that I felt like I should not be losing to.
Mhm.
I was not happy with the state of the game, and also in life, things were not really
Mhm.
working out that well. So you know how that can translate to how
Yeah,
you're playing. So I
definitely.
felt, yeah, I'll take a break from this.
Mhm.
And now that I'm back, it's like the games change a lot. Um, I definitely need to adapt, like especially once you've been timing items 25-35 for all these
Mhm.
years. 30-30 suddenly seems like the hardest thing
Sh
in the world to
should be
remember.
should be easier now.
It should be easier, I know, but it's just you just do
Yeah,
it unconsciously.
I think
Yeah,
Quake
but I'm
Champions.
about my enjoyment. Yeah, I do feel it's a nice game. It's a lot better
Mhm.
than some people give it credit for, and
Mhm.
especially in other games communities, like you mentioned, the people who refuse to go to Quake Champions from Quake Live or Diabotical, let's say, they
Hmm.
tend to talk very bad about Quake Champions, but
Yeah.
yeah, it has its charms. Let's say.
I think Quake Champions is like really like mechanical skills like heavy. You need to really like be good with your like movement and aiming, shooting. Not necessarily as much with control and like timing items like in Quake Live or Diabotical, I think. So that's the most important. So a lot of TDMs and like team modes are required to like make your like skills on point again. I think that's
Right.
most important in the beginning. So like, what is your plan now? Are you got some like schedule that you're gonna try to like play like 1 hour a day or something like that? Do you got any plans or you just like completely YOLO still with Quake Champions?
No, I don't have any scheduled
Hmm.
approach towards the game. I'm just I'm enjoying it at the moment.
Hmm.
So I just play whenever I feel like it, and I'm slowly making progress.
Hmm.
At the same time, because now I'm not competing anymore. I figured it's
Hmm.
finally the time to fuck around with settings and
Yeah.
mouses and mouse pads.
Hmm.
Because when you're playing in tournaments, you prefer not to
Yeah.
experiment too much.
Yeah.
You don't want to lose your muscle memory and stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, at the same time, I'm kind of messing around with that stuff. But
Do you try to like keep the same like settings as you had in like Diabotical, like or you kind of prefer faster like movement in Quake Champions or slower? Like what's your sense in Quake Champions now, and what's your DPI and XL?
my DPI is 1000. I
Hmm.
don't use Excel,
Hmm.
and my sensitivity is, I believe, 2.1, 2 point something like 2.1. I believe it's like
Hmm.
18 centimeters per 360.
Hmm.
And in Diabolical, I mostly use 22, but I felt that in Quake Champions, it's nice to have it a bit higher because
Hmm.
people are easier to track with the shafts.
Hmm.
And I also switched to a hard pad, and I just feel these are easier to control on a
Hmm.
bit higher sense.
What mousepad do you use now?
It's Skypad 3.0.
Skypad 3.0 and mouse?
Um, right now I have the G Pro Wireless Logitech in my hands,
Hmm.
but just today I ordered what's this? G Wolf's HTS Plus. It's like one of the smallest mice
Hmm.
in the world. It's like fingertips only. It's like half the size of a G Pro Wireless.
Really?
So yeah, like I said, I'm just experimenting with a lot of stuff right now, and
That's quite huge
probably
experiment.
fucking up my muscle memory. But
That's quite huge experiment. I don't even imagine playing with such small mouse, to be
yeah,
honest.
but the thing is, it weighs like 35 grams.
Jesus,
It's
that's
like
like
half the
nothing.
weight of a G Pro Wireless as well,
Yeah.
and it feels really effortless to move around. It's
Hmm.
almost like you can easily forget that you're actually
Hmm.
moving a mouse.
Okay.
So it's quite a fun experiment. Yeah.
Hmm. Okay, so going back to Diabotical, you mentioned that like you had like big rivalry going on with Agent. How did it develop? Like, cause in the beginning, I think Agent was winning a bit more, and then you kind of like overthrown him. Like, how would you describe that? Did you enjoy this like journey? Cause like it took some time, right? So you got great memories. And what was the key, for example, what you think was the key for you to like overcome him in Diabotical? Cause he also spent a lot of time in that game. Basically, he switched like full
Yeah.
time to Diabotical only.
Exactly. Yeah. So the thing with Diabolical and Agent is, in the beginning he kicked everyone's ass. Like he kicked
Hmm.
my ass. He The game came out, or at least it was an alpha for a while, and
Hmm.
I wasn't gaming at all at the time. I didn't even know the game had released an alpha, even though I was a Kickstarter backer years
Hmm.
ago. I should have had access to that, but I probably never saw the email.
Hmm.
But anyway, he played from the first day and he grinded the shit out of it. So he had a bit of a head start. I came in a couple months later.
Hmm.
I was in really rough shape. I had not played anything seriously for
Hmm.
like years, felt like, since 2017 Quake Champions.
Hmm.
So he was on top. He was definitely on top, but nobody could touch him, not even
Hmm.
Cypher at the start.
Hmm.
Um, that remained so for like a year. Uh, First tournaments I played really badly. I remember
Hmm.
like raging and stuff. And at one point I saw a stream of what was it again? Lupin. I don't know if
Hmm.
you know him, but
Yeah.
yeah. And he was so calm about everything. Like the most random shit happened to him, and he just laughed. And I was like,
Hmm.
wait a second. Like I used to be like that. I didn't tilt. I didn't rage. I need
Yeah.
to find that back again.
Yeah.
So I worked on that, and the next tournament was going to be the biggest one they had done so far, like with like 1,500 for the winner.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to go for top eight on this one.
Hmm.
I'm actually going to practice and set this goal for myself. Let's see what happens.
Hmm.
And I managed to get top four in that one, right behind Cypher, I believe.
Hmm.
I was really pleased with that. So I was like, all right, I'm top four now. So let's go for top one. And from that point on, it was a long grind to catch up with Agent because he was really way ahead of the rest. You had this
Hmm.
player Carwick, he
Yeah.
plays Quake Champions too, and you might know him.
Hmm.
He was the only one who could eventually take Agent down, but
Hmm.
I realized like once I made it to number two, I could kind of comfortably beat Carwick. Like I realized I needed my game was just not working how I was playing against Agent.
Hmm.
So I really, or like my style
Hmm.
just completely didn't work against Agent. So I really started to closely look at his game, like why is it working what he's doing? And I
Hmm.
came to the conclusion basically that Diabotical is like a perfect game for his style.
Hmm.
Like he, you know the sensitivity he plays with, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
It's like crazy high, like 8
Yeah.
centimeters
Yeah.
per. Yeah. Now, why is this good in Diabolical? Well, not necessarily, but the thing is, hit scan is a lot less important than in Quake Champions.
Hmm.
Like the shaft, the damage is not that high. The knockback is almost non-existent.
Hmm.
Um, the rail does 70 damage. So, but the rockets are even stronger than Quake Champions.
Okay.
So it's a lot more about the rockets.
Hmm.
And on top of that, the health spawns crazy fast.
Hmm.
So if you keep backing off, like if you take a rail, it doesn't matter. You're around the
Hmm.
corner, there's a health bubble. It's almost always
Okay.
up for you.
Hmm.
On top of that, mappers put like 2 times more health, feels like, on their map compared to Quake games.
Hmm.
So like medium to long range fights, chip damage, it all didn't do that much, but it was more about getting as close as possible to the opponent
Hmm.
and then finishing the job with rockets to a point where he cannot back off anymore, like you got
Okay.
him cornered. And I was more of a rail player. Like in Quake Live, I used a lot of rail, and it kind of
Hmm.
worked there. But yeah, in Diabolical, I just had to admit, like, okay, this is just not working. I need to change things up.
Hmm.
I have to work on my rocket skills, and I have to, yeah, learn more about what he's doing. Try to
Hmm.
incorporate that, and then in the end, like my higher hit scan percentages might make the difference because it's still something.
Yeah.
It's not like completely irrelevant.
Hmm.
So yeah, that was my plan, and
On
basically took.
honestly, like I must be honest, I think it's quite in depth, like really deep, like analyze you did there, because like it's interesting to listen to old school players who still like analyze the game so much, because like Quake Champions kind of seems like a bit easier at some points. It's still hard to like master because like there is so many good players and like grinders and stuff like that. But it's like it's kind of seems like easier as a whole game, like compared to Quake Live. So like it's super interesting for me to like get back all those feelings like when we were young and we were analyzing the quick life and like like it's super nice way of thinking. So I
Yeah,
would like now I would like to follow up with another question. So what do you think? You mentioned timing obviously like in the beginning 30 seconds compared to 25 35, but what do you think you would have to work on at the moment to successfully switch to Quake Champions?
I think to be honest, I just like the thing that's very new to me,
Hmm.
apart from the little journey I had in Quake Champions when it came out, is like
Hmm.
there's so many champions right now,
Hmm.
and I just need like a little more experience, like a couple hundred more games to get a bit better feel of
Hmm.
what should you respect when you're playing against this champion. uh,
Hmm.
like not only how do I play this champion, but when you're playing against this champion, what are the things I need to be careful about, because
Hmm.
too many times I'm getting like dire orbed telefract, or
Hmm.
um, I'm getting too close to like a Sorlek or a
Hmm.
Death Knight. You know,
Hmm.
there's a lot of champions, there's a lot of combinations. I feel like if I have a bit more experience, then after that I'm more confident to make the next step and go a
Hmm.
bit deeper into maybe, you know, the tactical side of things.
Hmm. So champions and timings in the beginning.
Yeah, the timing is already starting to come now. Like
Hmm.
I'm starting to intuitively do plus 30 now, so
Uh-huh.
that's not that big of a problem. And since everything seems to be 30, like you remember the cycle a lot easier as well.
Hmm.
Um, Combat skills, like you need to adapt a bit to the different speed of the rocket, the dodging, like everything's just a bit off compared to
Hmm.
Diabotical, what I've been playing last 2 years.
Hmm.
So I feel I just need a bit more experience, and then also like half of the maps are completely new to me. I need to
Hmm.
play more on them too, and then we'll see where I land. You know, I have no idea. I don't
Hmm.
expect to be top 20 anytime
Hmm.
soon, to be honest.
So, let's imagine that there is like some huge tournament coming up, like really big like tournament, and it's gonna happen in like half year or a year, and you really want to do good or win that tournament. Like, what will be your plan now for the next year, for example, to win that tournament? You would like start slowly with the things you said, and then like you eventually you will try to practice a lot with like pros only, or like you will pick like medium players, or would you try to like play a lot of duels and try hard, or like make maybe some tasks during like duel games that I focus only on that one thing, or maybe you would play some team modes to catch like some like aiming stuff, like how would you
Hmm.
approach it in general?
Right, right, right. Hmm.
Let's say like QuakeCon, right? It's like usually in August, so we got like what, 8 months. Like this is there's a tournament for like billion bucks.
Right, right.
How would you do that?
Well, I've always, I know people are quite divided on this, like if you
Hmm.
should practice with strong opponents or weaker opponents.
Hmm.
But I've always felt like when you're still learning the game that
Hmm.
others are already better at than you,
Hmm.
it's better to play with stronger players. Like maybe
Hmm.
not rated 500 points above you, but
Hmm.
like one to maybe 300 points above you. I feel
Hmm.
that's the way you climb up the fastest.
Hmm.
And for people like Cyber, I know he likes to play with a bit weaker opponents, Toxic, uh, who are already on top and they're preparing for a tournament. They
Hmm.
like to play a lot with weaker opponents.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm not at top level yet, so I would definitely make most of my practice revolve around playing stronger opponents. And on
Hmm.
top of that, I would play like some Holy Trinity, try to do like 15 minutes of that every day to get comfortable with my aim and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, watch some pro games on the latest patches
Hmm.
to, you know, figure out exactly what they're doing.
Hmm.
And I would also, like, if there's a lot of money on the line, I would outside of the game also start to take shit more seriously that could benefit me in the game, like
Hmm.
going to the gym and taking
Okay.
walks, thinking about stuff like uh, you know, like all kinds of things. It depends how much money would be on the line and how much chance realistically I see myself to be placing
Hmm.
in the money, like how much time I would spend, I would put
Hmm.
into it. But I would definitely be interested to play.
Hmm. I miss those times when it was like 2005, for example, or even earlier, and there was like this fatality style, like practice, 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 and people were practicing 8 hours per day and stuff like this. At some point, that was a cool time, and it was like you learned a lot from that as well. Then, like, people started to change a little bit, and it's like you see completely different approaches right now. Still, some people are grinding right now, like, really hard, especially in Quick Champions. So it's like might be similar, but Fatality, for example, was like the one and only, basically, with that kind of like style of practicing.
Like he would just grind, like he would just play jewels for eight
Hmm.
hours. You mean? Or
Yeah, yeah, that's
no.
That was amazing. Like I never understood how he's like mentally. How do you mentally handle that amount of joules? Like, do you think at some point he just switch off his brain and he doesn't really care if he's losing, winning, if it goes his way or not? Or like
That's
how?
interesting that you say that, yeah, because I wondered the same thing. Like, is it even humanly possible to still
Hmm.
learn after 4 hours of playing duels? Like,
Hmm.
I think research suggests that you're pretty much already at your limit
Yeah.
about how much you can learn in one day when it comes to like a mentally intensive game like Quake.
Hmm.
But it worked for him. Maybe he took a lot of breaks. I don't know how he did it, but I do feel most people won't benefit from that much joules on a day, that amount of intensity.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, I'm surprised how some players are so strong with that little games that they put in. Because
Hmm.
I checked like your profile the other day on Quake
Hmm.
Champions, and you did not have much joules at all. And
Hmm.
some of the other top players as well. Like if I think like the game's been out for like what 6 years now,
Hmm.
I'm really surprised. Like some people really don't need a lot of joules, but
Hmm.
then I also don't know. Like for example, you, what do you do, like outside of playing joules,
Hmm.
to get
Yeah.
into the shape that you want to be in?
Yeah. As I said, I think like mechanical skills are really important. So if you and like to master it, I don't think like playing Jules is the best because uh, there's not much shooting going on, and you cannot like focus on shooting that much. You need to focus on other things if you want to play good Jules. So I think
Mm,
playing 2v2s and like when there is like a lot of people moving around you, it's like really helping like with like mechanical skills. I think
right.
that's
Yeah.
what you should do in the beginning as well, like in Quake Champions. If you want, we can even play like 2v2s. Like I can
I
play with you
tried to
in a
play.
team, or and I can get us some opponents, and you can like improve a bit with that.
Yeah, I
Also,
tried
you're
to
gonna
play a little
improve
bit
with
of
the
two
champions, and like in 2v2, you're also gonna understand like what
because
champions are
you're
doing
playing
exactly.
against two different champions
Yeah.
at the same time. Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea actually. Yeah. I played a bit of 2v2 already. It seems to work really well. Yeah, Quake
Hmm.
Champions.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like you say. Yeah, once you know the angles on every map and the respawns and
Hmm.
everything, at that point maybe it becomes more beneficial to make sure your combat skills are on point and
Hmm.
to focus more on that instead of just keep mindlessly playing duel after duel.
Hmm. So, what else I wanted to add to this? Yeah, you kind of answered my question quite complex. Like you said that you would walk a little bit as well, like think about the game, like do some sports, like eat good and stuff like this. I think it's super good because like all those like things you're doing like around gaming and outside like practicing, I think it also matters like sleeping patterns and how good you sleep and stuff like this. Do you care, you take care a lot of that like in your life? Like do you focus on those things or you could
At the
improve?
moment, at the moment, no, I could
No?
improve a lot. Let me be honest with you.
Yeah.
But there were times, of course, where I had that kind of stuff a lot more under control, and
Hmm.
there's definitely a big change in performance, like in sports, games, everything.
Hmm.
So that's super important. And I remember like when I was working up towards a diabotical tournament, like I
Hmm.
really felt I had to prove something to myself,
Hmm.
some want to make some goal that I set for myself. Even though it wasn't a crazy amount of money, I
Hmm.
said to myself like I'm gonna do everything like what I can,
Hmm.
like that all the free time I have, I'm gonna put it into you know preparing for this tournament,
Yeah.
and that also included to eat better, get more rhythm pattern in my life, like with the
Hmm.
sleeping, the eating, and automatically if you do all those things, you're gonna be a lot more focused, on the
Hmm. In
goal
game.
that you're working
Yeah.
towards, and eventually in the game you're gonna be a
Yeah.
lot more focused.
All right. And what was your last like LAN tournament?
That was Androids. It's the one and only LAN.
Androids.
Yeah.
For
No,
real.
but yes, for real. Like
That's crazy.
that's I never considered myself to become like a
Yeah.
LAN player, pro player. It
Hmm.
was more like at that time I was playing Quake Live for fun. I was getting pretty good, and
Hmm.
then suddenly there was like this LAN in my own country was organized. So I
Yeah.
felt like it would be cool to see all the big players, all the pros,
Hmm.
and to see how will I do. And at that time, it was like 2 months in advance. I also
Hmm.
said to myself, like, yeah, let's see what can happen if I
Hmm.
really practice. And in those 2 months, I improved so fast, you know.
Yeah, that was super cool memories. Like, which city are you living in now?
I live in a really small city. It's like 30 minutes north of Amsterdam by car.
North of Amsterdam. You
Yeah.
going to Amsterdam often or not necessary?
Not necessarily, no. And I don't really have much business there.
Hmm. I'm just curious how the city changed because I used to be there like a lot when I was playing in serious gaming boot camping, and I'm just curious how the city changed after all this shit happening in our world because it was a very touristic place and a lot of
Uh,
people and a lot of like mess and it was busy and it was
yeah,
life.
it's less busy these days.
Hmm.
There's less prostitutes. There's less coffee shops.
Hmm.
There's less everything. But you know, it's still Amsterdam.
Yeah, that's cool. Anyway, what else? I also wanted to ask you, do you play like Quake Live anymore at all, or when was last time you played Quake Live?
Maybe like half a year ago. Like I have not, to be honest, I haven't
Hmm.
seriously played that since 2012,
Hmm.
2013 maybe. Now and then I came back to it. Like after Quake Champions,
Hmm.
I just felt like playing Quake Live again, but there were no more tournaments, so I was just
Okay.
like casually playing now and then.
Hmm. Do you enjoy team modes at all? Like, did you play this like 3v3 in Diabotical?
I did play the first 3v3 tournament. I was with
Hmm.
Memphis and Carwick in a team.
Okay.
We were like, we're not gonna go like hardcore for this, but
Hmm.
individually we knew all three of us were, you know, solid enough to,
Hmm.
without any practice or without much practice, to
Be somewhere near top, yeah.
get into the top eight at least, get some
Hmm.
money. I did enjoy them, but the problem with me is that I cannot communicate or receive
Hmm.
communications and remember information in the game at the same time. Like
Hmm.
that's why I never rage.
Hmm.
I cannot say fuck without losing the timings.
Hmm.
So I'm just playing. I'm quiet,
Okay.
and if I need to talk, share information, then I forget a lot what's happening in
Hmm.
the map.
Okay, so I chose a great teammate for myself, I see now.
Yeah, man, we're gonna dominate the scene. You will know.
Domination.
Let's
Okay,
go.
anyway, I promise you it's not gonna be too long, and it's not. It's super good to hear you. Like after so many years, I just came up with the podcast thing recently. I was thinking about you, and I was like, "Fuck, it would be super cool to like speak again." And I think it's better than what I expected, cause like as you said, the things you said about the Diabotical and how you improved, how would you improve in Quake Champions? It's like I can already like spot the old school mentality and how you approach the game, and it's super cool. So I enjoyed it a lot, and thank you for coming and speaking with me at least a little bit about all those things. And as I said before, like if you ever want to play some 2v2s and stuff like that, uh, just like poke me or ask me and we're gonna play some because I think like this will like improve your mechanicals in the beginning and the rest you will catch up in jewels and I cannot wait to watch you like playing and I think you should definitely give it a try and try to like play like challengers and qualifiers. It's gonna be a lot of them this year, so
Is the Pro Series confirmed to be
mhm.
extended another
Yeah,
season?
yeah,
Really?
yeah,
I
it
have
is.
not seen any confirmation. Like I heard rumors that it
Hmm.
was not gonna go through. Then I heard people say it was.
Hmm.
But okay, so it's confirmed. Wow,
Hmm.
that's when is that gonna start? The qualifiers? Do you know? Or are you like
It's
auto qualified?
it's gonna be same as last year, so it's like same format. Last year it was like we were playing 2 weeks in a row, and then it was like qualifiers. Then 2 weeks we playing, and there's qualifiers. So I think it's gonna be 8 people qualifying to the LAN. throughout all these like stages. So for 8 months, 8 people gonna qualify to the LAN in the end. So I
Okay.
think there is quite big chances that you can qualify. You should try, and if you start now, I think it's good
What?
because you are
Yeah,
starting now.
like yeah, I think challengers might be a good goal for me at first to try to get into that, and we'll see where that leads.
Hmm. Anyway, Baksteen, thank you for your talk, and
Yeah,
we keep
thanks for
in
having me.
touch.